Well, good morning and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Peter Frank and I'll be leading our session today, which is titled A Basic Introduction to Church360 Unite. This will be an overview webinar where we'll kind of start at the beginning with Church360 Unite and quickly build into a full website. Maybe not a full website, but a really good starting point. I am the Senior Manager of Marketing Technology here at Concordia Technology Solutions. We are part of Concordia Publishing House, and I've been with our organization for about 11 years. I've been with the CTS group for going on 6.5, almost 7 years now. It's been a while. I've enjoyed learning all of our products, and in fact, this one here today that we'll be showing, Church360 Unite, this was one of the first products that I launched with when I joined the group. So I've been with this since the very beginning. It is a fantastic tool for building a church website, and it's more than just a website. We'll go into that in a few minutes, but I'm excited to share that with you today. My contact information is on the screen. My email is probably the best way to get a hold of me. My phone number that's listed there will take you directly to my office phone, which I currently have forwarding to voicemail. So please don't try to call me during this webinar. You will not get me. I have had a few people try that in the past. It's kind of funny because they know I'm presenting live. I'm not going to stop to answer the phone. So please feel free to reach out at any time. A little bit about little housekeeping items before we go too far. First off, I'm planning about 50 minutes for presentation. So we know that you are very busy in the church. 50 minutes is probably not enough to get into all the detail that I would like to get into on Church360 Unite, but I'm going to try to keep it at that. Those last 10 minutes are set for question and answers. So if there are not enough question and answers, I'll probably go over that 50-minute mark just so that I can give you the most value for your time. Now, the way I do this is by asking you to ask questions throughout. It'll come into my queue. I'll know exactly how many questions I have to answer during those 10 minutes. If there's not enough questions, I'll go over, and that way you can get the full presentation. Again, there's more than enough information to go over in 50 minutes. Now, we are recording this webinar, and we'll be sharing that recording later on today. So if you are watching after the fact, I'm sorry you couldn't be here with us live, but I'm glad you're still able to watch it. And for those of you who are here live, I very much appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. A little bit about ourselves. We are, like I mentioned before, Concordia Technology Solutions. We are part of Concordia Publishing House. We go by the name Concordia Technology Solutions because when you hear publishing, you don't typically think church websites. So that's one of the reasons why we go by that Concordia Technology Solutions, or CTS, brand. We have been developing software for churches since 1984, way back before that, the DOS era even. It's just amazing to think of the tools that were available at that time compared to the tools now. But that has given us a wealth of experience working with churches, learning from them how our software can be better, and we've applied that into our products. So today, like I mentioned before, and as you were expecting, we're talking about Church360 Unite. It is part of the Church360 suite. Now, the two other software solutions within that suite are Church360 Members, which allows you to manage your membership information, your attendance, your offerings. Basically, it's the bulk of the information related to people. Now, we'll talk about that one quite a bit as we go through today, as we talk about members-only tools and how those interact together. But even without Church360 Members, Unite allows you to manage some of your people information as well. And so it's a nice partnership where they work together, but they also work very well separately. Now, the other product in the suite is Church360 Ledger, which is your church finance software. Now, there's not really any overlap between Unite and Ledger, so I won't be getting into that today, but it serves a very specific need in the churches. And so if you are in the need of a church finance software, Church360 Ledger might be a good option for you. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about Church360 Unite. And so first and foremost, it is a church website builder. And I always hesitate to say that because I think it sells it a little short. That, of course, is its primary responsibility. And we're going to be spending most of our time talking about your church website today. But it is not just your church website. It is certainly that, but it is also your church's blog or multiple blogs. It's your church's member hub where members can log in and interact with each other. They can access file information, view calendars, and the like. So file sharing is a key part of Unite. The church calendar or individual group calendars also is a big factor into how you use Church360 Unite. And finally, it is also your mass emailing, and these all work together. That's what those circles show. They unite your online presence, your online communication hub for your church. So that's where the name comes from, in case you are wondering. And we'll go through each of these in various levels of detail. If you have questions on any of these at any time, feel free to put that question into the chat. It'll help me understand where I'm missing the mark in terms of sharing information, or really just tell me which you're most interested in. All right, so a little bit, oops, why is my slide not working? There we go. A little bit more about Unite. All of our themes are mobile accessible, meaning that you can access them on your cell phone. And really these cell phones have changed a lot for us over the years. Since 2007, when the iPhone was first released, the world of the internet has changed drastically. And today it is so important to have a website on your phone. Now, I know that especially in the church office setting, you're not spending a lot of time working on your phone. You're working on a desktop, which is why we're going to show it in a desktop today. But they all work very well on mobile devices, and I'll show you how you can look at that in a little while. Church360 Unite also syncs with your church management software. We talked about Church360 members already, but many of you might be familiar or might be using Shepherd Staff. Shepherd Staff has been our church management software, kind of our flagship product since 1994. We have thousands of churches still actively using it on a daily basis. So if you are one of those churches, you can integrate Church360 Unite with Shepherd Staff and utilize those tools of the church management software while that's on your personal computer, on your server at the church, and Unite is on the cloud. We offer custom domain services and also email services with those custom domains. Those are also available as part of our higher level plans or able to be purchased separately. So we're not going to get into that too much today, but that's a common question, and I wanted to throw that out there. So if you have any follow-up questions about that, let me know. I'd be happy to go into more detail. That's just not part of the outline today. Finally, software support and training are all included with any plan of Church360 Unite. And this might seem standard, but let me explain a little bit about why that's so important. One common theme that I hear from churches is that they get a nice website set up by a volunteer who knows what they're doing, or maybe it's the pastor who was kind of tech savvy, so he set it up, and then that person leaves. And whether they take a job elsewhere and have to move, or the pastor takes a call and goes to a different church, whatever it is, that continuation doesn't happen. And it's a story I've heard time and time again. Well, with Church360 Unite and our support team, your website will continue on because you have a team of people that is dedicated to helping you with that. So even if you are brand new to the church office or brand new to the church website, we provide the tools and the training needed that you can continue that on. It doesn't have to reside with one person. That knowledge doesn't have to be lost when somebody leaves. So that's a key part of this for your church website. And that's something that many people don't think about when they're first implementing a new site using a free tool online, is that there is no continuation plan. So I'll get off my soapbox. I just hear that so often that I want to make sure that's clear. All right. Let's see here. My assumptions about you. So I always make some assumptions as I plan for a webinar, and these are my 3 things for today. I'm assuming you're familiar with church websites. We're not going to go into the details of why you should have a church website. I'm assuming you're familiar with the value of that, and you're familiar with kind of what should show up, although we'll show a few things. I am assuming you're new to Church360 Unite. If you have been using Church360 Unite for a while, then this may not be the best webinar for you. You'll certainly pick up some tips and tricks along the way, but we are starting at ground zero. So there might be some things that are a bit too basic. But like I said, this is a basic introduction to Church360 Unite, so I'm assuming that you're new. And I'm also assuming you're extremely busy. So if you need to step away, if you need to leave halfway through, that's why we have the recording. You can always come back and watch it again or share it with somebody else. All right, so here's my outline for today. We're going to go through an overview of the tools. That is the kind of overarching part of the outline. But throughout it, we're going to give some very practical examples of how you would use Unite for your website. And then, of course, like I mentioned before, we'll have the question and answers. But this is kind of going to be the path forward. We're going to look at themes and styles first. What does your site look like? What is the structure of your site? Then we'll get into pages and feeds. How do you add content to your site? Content is a fancy way of saying words and images and videos. That's the bulk of your website. That's the ongoing stuff. But it's just one portion of what Church360 Unite offers. Then we're going to get into calendars and events. And certainly all of you have used some kind of calendar tool. So this will be fairly familiar to you. But we'll show how you can use the combination of public calendars and private calendars to have an overall calendar experience, your master church calendar on your website, without making everything visible to everybody. We'll move into users and members only tools. It's an interactive website. It is not just a billboard where you post it and hope people see it. It's a website where you invite people to join into the conversation and to view information that is not visible to everybody. So we'll go into those member-only tools, and we'll see that throughout as we go through Unite. I'll point out different areas where this could be for the public and this could be for your members only. Finally, we'll look at some more of those members-only tools in a little bit more detailed fashion, specifically the church directory, your groups, and your mailing lists. So we won't spend a lot of time on this today. I really just want to draw your attention to these tools so that you can start thinking about how to use those. Those get to be a little bit more advanced, but we'll touch on those at the end. So enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and get started. I'll switch my screen here, and actually I'm going to start on the Church360 Unite website. We just launched a new website here, and we're very excited about that. You can see that throughout this website, you'll have examples of how your church website can be shown on different screens. So you see the mobile devices throughout it. It's the same website throughout. Now, what I would like to recommend is that you start a free trial if you haven't already. And you can do that depending on what your experience was. If you've already started a free trial like I have, you're going to see this Request Live Demo button here. But at the bottom of every page, you can start a free trial. And that's what I've already done. I've gone here. I've filled out this information. Don't worry, you don't have to put in a credit card number or anything like that. You get a free 30-day trial, no commitment or obligation. You fill that out, you'll get an email. And when you click on that email, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. And so it says, welcome to Church360 Unite. Go ahead and enter in your information. I'm going to go ahead and put in a password. And then it's going to ask for my church email and my phone number, my address. I'm just going to put in a few things that are pretty common to us. This is not going to be real information. Or at least not real church's information. It's going to be our information here at Concordia Technology Solutions, so that you can see how easy it is to get it up and running and live on the web. And so, in fact, you can even follow along. You won't see much there right now, but if you go to webinar 2018-2018, 11/13, that's today's date. So webinar 2018-11/13, no spaces, no dashes, nothing like that, .360unite.com, you'll get to this website. Now, if you're watching this after the fact, at some point I will delete it, but I'll leave it up there for a few days. So as you're going through this startup process, one of the first things it's going to ask you is, do you want to generate a sitemap automatically? What this does is it gives you kind of a starting point for your church website. It's not going to fill in information about your church because we don't know that, but you do. And so you've got a few different ways of doing this. And these are things that I put together that just give a starting point. So if you're member focused, it's going to be things that are most relevant to members. If you're visitor focused, it's going to be the things that are most relevant to visitors, using terms that they might use. And mission focused, which of course we're always mission focused, regardless of whether we're focused on visitors and members. But mission focus is all about teaching people about Jesus, about the salvation that he offers. So those are just different ways of going about it. But you can also do a blank slate. No pre-made pages. You're free to create them as you'd like. And that's what we're going to start off with today. So I'm going to hit continue, and it's going to start preparing my site. The next thing that I'm going to do is pick my theme. And we'll go into themes in greater detail, but you can see there, Concordia Publishing House, that's the name of my church that I put in. And I've got several different themes, and I can click around them and see what it looks like. And these are all really up to personal preference. There's different colors, there's different images. Once you pick this once, you can still pick a different theme again and again. That's one of the great things about Church360 Unite, is that there's no fees for choosing different themes or switching themes midway through. So I'm going to go with the material theme. That's my personal favorite. It's very nice and clean and puts the focus on the church's content, on the content of the website. So once I've selected a start, now I'm in and I can start modifying this website. And in fact, now that I've done that, you can even go to that URL that I shared before. So webinar 2018 1113.360unite.com. So this here is what it looks like when you log in as an administrator. And of course, the first user is always going to be the administrator. You have the top bar with all of your admin settings. And on the far left, you have the edit page option where you can go and get into what we call edit mode. We'll talk about that in a bit. But you also have down in the lower right-hand corner this black eye for Information Center. And through this, you can access our help articles. You can send our support team a message. It gives you the number to call our support team. You don't have to be a paying customer to call about your trial. Your trial is there so you can learn. So if you need additional help, you can always use any of those tools. So we're going to go right up to the top under themes. Themes is where we're starting today, and we've already looked at that a little bit during the setup process. You see, these themes are available for free as part of your trial or part of your subscription throughout the life of your experience. So you can go in and change a theme at any time and update the look and feel of your site. You don't have to recreate all the content. That'll stay with you. It'll stay within the theme. It'll just change the appearance. So we've got 12 different themes. Again, they're all mobile responsive. And if you want to look through them, you can just click on any one of them and then click on the image, click and hold it, and it'll display it for you. See, as you click and hold it, you get a preview of that. And then I can say, well, actually, let's look at this site. Oh, that looks kind of nice. Let's look at this one. And so you can switch these at any time. So if I click on this one here and click apply, now my theme has been changed. So when I close out, there it is. I can go back into themes. I'll go to material, and I'll pick this kind of grayish one. There you go. I like kind of plain, boring sites because, again, it puts the focus on the content, not on the appearance of the site. But everybody has different preferences, and of course, every church has kind of a different feel, a different culture to it. So this is what we'll be going with today. Now, also under themes, I can go and change the different styles. So even though these are the different themes and these are different versions of that theme, we call them presets. The presets are actually preset customization options. And if I go over to customize, I can change those options myself. So you see here up at the top, we've got this kind of dark blue, grayish color. I can go in and adjust it here. And if I want to make it something, more of a brighter blue, I can do that. Or maybe just, I don't want it quite as gray, I want it to be a little bit lighter. All I have to do is select that, and I've got a number of other options I can select, and just hit save. And those changes automatically take place. So I'm changing the appearance of my site without knowing anything about code. It's that simple. Now, what I would recommend is you don't change your site too often. I've had some people ask, well, could we just do the liturgical colors? Well, you can, but you want to have a consistent experience for your visitors. You don't want them to be startled when they come to your site. So use that with caution. Now, you can also do things like upload your your logo to it if you wanted to put a logo on your site. Let's go to customize. You can change the font of that. What I'm going to show you next, though, would be some of these overarching content things. So like right now it says Concordia Publishing House and then our address down there in the footer. If I go over to settings, I can change that. And maybe I don't want Concordia Publishing House. Maybe I want to put a Resurrection Lutheran Church, something like that, that makes it look more like a church. Or we could do something shorter. Hope Lutheran Church is another way of showing how it's shorter. Sometimes the longer names take up the bulk of the space at the top. So yeah, we'll just go with that. All right, so the next thing I can do is I can choose the styles for my site, the styles of the text. And we always predefine styles, and then you can change it from there. So like here are block styles like the heading 1, heading 2. These are paragraphs is another way of saying that. Inline styles is kind of emphasizing within the text. So if we wanted to update our H1 and say, all right, well, actually, let's give a little bit more margin at the bottom. There we go. Let's make the font a bold. And let's go a little bit larger, not too much. That's what it'll look like. And I can save that. And now that's updated here. So if I go to heading 2, maybe I don't want heading 2 to quite be as large. I'll go to there, but I do want it to be bold, maybe semi-bold. There we go. Can save that. So slight modifications change the way it looks. Now, if I wanted to add a style for emphasis, so maybe we'll just call it emphasize. And we'll do a color that is more of a brightish blue. Wow, that's getting into teal. There we go. Still able to be seen. We're going to keep it the same font family, but we're going to make it normal italics. Actually, we're going to make it bold italic. There we go. And I think that's all I'll do with it. So now I have this emphasize font in there, and we'll show how to use that in a little while. So those are your styles, and you can set this as your administrator, and then all of your users will have to follow along with it. And I say have to. It's really the best practices of web design where you would have a style sheet that other users follow. There's a few other things that you might need later on if you want to get more advanced, and that's why we call it advanced. You can add custom code to the headers or custom scripts, or you can even edit the theme itself. You can clone the theme and edit all of the source files. If that's above your head, don't worry. You don't have to do anything with it. It's there if you know how to use it. And if you don't know how to use it, you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't affect anything to leave it as is. All right, under settings, we showed that before. You have the ability to change your name, the things that show up in the footer. You also can manage your calendar there. You can set up your domain. So maybe you don't want webinar 2018-1113.360unite.com. You might want hopelutheranchurch.org or something like that. You can set that in. You do have to purchase that elsewhere. And then you can set it up in with what's called DNS settings. This is one of the services that we offer for an additional fee. It's only $29.99 a year, and we'll take care of all that for you. But it's not that difficult or that expensive if you have the understanding, and so we don't require you to go through us. So these instructions make it so that you can go elsewhere. If you'd rather manage that yourself, save a little bit of money, because I think you can get it for about $12 a year elsewhere. You just have to do the work. That's really what our upcharge is for managing it. So that's an option. You have the option of putting Google Analytics. It's a free tool from Google that shows you about anything you can possibly want to know about your website traffic. And then we also have this place here for integration. This is for integrating with Shepherd staff. We've got other webinars that go through that whole process. So we're going to talk about it today, but not actually show you how to do that. So that's themes and styles. And a little bit of our settings too. The next thing that I want to do is go to pages. So within pages, and we'll go there in a second, the main thing that you're doing is you're adding or modifying pages and really focused on the navigation. And for some reference, the navigation is this dark bar here. And depending on your site, it might change in appearance. But this dark bar in this theme is your navigation. So we have home, calendar, and members. Remember that. That'll be important as we go into pages. So under pages, we have home, calendar, and members on the left-hand side and nothing on the right-hand side. The ones on the left-hand side are your active menu items. And anything that you add to the right-hand side, we call them available menu items, meaning you can add them to your menu or you could just link to them. Be careful not to think of these as things that are on my site and things that are not on my site, because you can actually have draft pages in your menu that don't show for any of your visitors, and you can have live pages in your available menu items that can be linked to but can't be found on the navigation. So it's not so much a matter of whether it's live or not, whether it's visible or not, but whether it's in the navigation. So let's add a page here. We're going to add a page, and we're going to call this our welcome page. No, let's do our staff page. So I'll create a page, and we'll call that our staff. Now, that is going to be a blank page right now. So if I go ahead and hit Save Changes and then go and click on that page, our staff is a page that I can modify, which puts the header in there, marks it as draft, and it doesn't show up in the navigation. If I go up to Pages and I move our staff over to the navigation and hit Save Changes, now it shows up in the navigation right here. Now, if I log out of the site, it will not show up because it's still a draft. In fact, the members page doesn't show up either. That's the directory. We'll talk about that in a bit. See, this is the visible site, and only pages that are published and public show. Keep those things in mind, published and public. I'm going to sign back in again. Hopefully I remember my password. There we go. Now that I'm signed in, again, I'm signed in as an administrator, I can see that staff page. Now, if I go up to Pages and I click New Page, I have several different options. First off, I have the new page, which is just blank, and a feed and a group, and we'll look at those in a few minutes. Below that, I have several other example pages. So if I wanted a page like What We Believe, and I click Create that page, and I'll hit Enter to lock that name in, and I'll move it into my navigation. I'll hit Save Changes and click on the link. Oops, continue. There we go. What We Believe gives me some helper copy, meaning it gives me a starting point. I don't have to use this. In fact, I wouldn't use this. This is more instructions from me as the web administrator, not to our web visitors. But it tells you what you might want to put in here. All right, so we have all of these pages already. There's 5 items in the menu. We can continue to add for pages, but it's going to get cluttered. So if we go back up to Pages and I click this Add Category, I could do a category called About Us. And I can drag and drop our staff into About Us and What We Believe into About Us. Oops. There we go. And when I click Save Changes, now when I go to the navigation, I have just About Us, and when I hover over it, those 2 pages show. That's what a category is. You can't click on the category and go anywhere. It's just a place for you to hover and go to the next thing. So that allows you to save space, categorize your pages together, and just make an overall better web experience. Let's go to the home page. Oh, there we go. I actually have to click on it. When I'm on Pages and I see Home, that's the first one here. Now you'll notice here that Home has no tags over on the right-hand side. If I click on that and mark it as private, it says members only. If I click public, nothing shows up. If I mark it as make draft, it shows as a draft. And if I hit publish, it's published. So this page is published and public, meaning that people can visit my site and see it without being logged in, without being an administrator. So that's a really good page to work on because right now there's nothing there. So if I click the edit page, I'm going to get these boxes appearing, and they might be a little bit hard to see on your view. You see here that there's, if I hover over it, it becomes a blue checkered box or dashed box. This is the area which I can edit. Anything else on the screen is part of the theme, but within those boxes, I can edit it. Now up in the top left, you have layouts, which allow you to choose how many boxes you have to edit. So if I choose the second one, it's 2 boxes that are the same size. It splits the screen in half. If I choose the third one, the box on the left-hand side is about 2/3 of the page, and the box on the right-hand side is 1/3. If I choose the next box or the next layout, I have a box across the top that is the full width, and then I have a 2/3 and a 1/3. And if I click the next one, it just reverses. It's 1/3 and then 2/3, but still have that box on the top. My personal favorite for a home page is the last box here, where you have one that goes all the way across and then 3 equal sizes underneath it. So each one divides the page into a third. I like this from a home page because you can put one main banner, one main image, and 3 smaller ones that give you a total of 4 stories on your home page, which is more than enough for your home page. All right, so underneath that, there's a few other tools like status. I can mark it as published or draft here as well. I can choose the URL. In this case, it's just the home page. And I can choose the page title. That's what shows up here. So every page title gets the name of the church appended to it. So if I wanted to change this to something like welcome, it won't necessarily change my website address, but it'll change what shows up here in the top in the tabs, and it'll change what shows in the navigation. Lastly, we have meta description. This is what is described on Google or any other search engine. If you don't have something here, it's going to pull information from your site. And in this case, it's not going to pull it from the navigation. It'll probably pull it from the footer here, because this is the first real text that's there. So it's always good to put something here, and I would put something about your church's name, your city, your state, maybe worship times, at least for your homepage. That way, if somebody's searching for you, that's what'll show up. All right, I'm going to hit save. Lock that in place, and now welcome has changed. You'll notice it still says home because I can modify this. And when I click in here, I get what we call our WYSIWYG editor. WYSIWYG is an abbreviation for what you see is what you get, meaning that whatever you do here is what your visitors will see. So if I'll cut out the home, then I can go in and I can type in other stuff, type in other stuff, or I can add things like images. And you'll see in this toolbar, you've got a number of things. You've got ways of pasting text, undo, redo. You can do anchors and links, photos and audio and video, and embedding source code and tables and line breaks and special characters. We even give you access to the source code if you like HTML and know how to use it. Then you have some standard word processor things like bold, underline, italic, strike through, bulleted list, numbered list, alignments, all of that stuff. It's just to help you modify the content of your site as if you were modifying an email. It's going to be that straightforward. So let's first add an image. I'm going to click new image, and I'll have to upload this. It has to be uploaded to the site. I'll click upload, and I'll go, whoops, that's from yesterday's webinar. I'll go here to my desktop and bring in my Romans Bible Study header. So I will upload that, and I will click on it and click OK. Now this puts the image on my site, but it's kind of skewed. If I double click it and I can go to advanced, I can just say, okay, well, right now the width is trying to be 1200, but the box is only about 600 or 800, so it's skewing that. But I can say, well, just give me 100% width. Always go the full width, but no more, no less. And then I'm not even going to put in a height. I'm just going to erase that and say, you decide the height, web browser. Whatever gives it 100% width, just make sure that the ratio is the same. So I'll click block aspect ratio. I'll click OK. And that looks much better. It is not skewed. It's filling up my screen, and it generally looks pretty good. All right, let's do some more. Let's go here to this next one. I'm going to upload another image, and we will say this is the men's Bible study. We'll put that there. We'll do another image. We'll upload the marriage Bible study, and we'll upload another image. And this is the women's Bible study. So I put these images together in advance. It kind of creates a nice frame with the left-hand alignment, the right-hand alignment in the middle in there. Those are just some basic practices of web design where you want to draw your attention of your visitors' eyes to something. You want to keep a consistent feel for it. These are all very light images, or at least have light backgrounds. So these are purchased from a stock photography site. I would recommend that you use real photography, or if you're going to design elements that are consistent across. All right, so we have all of these. Each one says you have unsaved changes. At any time, I can click this Save button in the lower left-hand corner, and it locks in my changes. The next thing I want to do is add some copy. So I'm going to go underneath that, and I've already written this out, so I'm going to copy it from off screen and paste it. Men's Bible Study. Do the next one, Couples Bible Study. And the last one, Women's Bible Study. Now I can do some things like make it bold and centered, or if I want to go to a style and say, oh, give me a heading 2 on that, it'll put that in place. So I can go here and click Styles, heading 2, and then we'll center that. And actually, I had bold on here, but my style says semi-bold, so I was overriding my style. So I'll just let the style do its thing, and I'll override it with centering, but everything else is exactly how it should be. Now, I have these things that are just telling about the Bible studies. It's not linking anywhere. We have another button that I created, or another image that looks like a button, and I'll upload that, and that is my register button. And I'll put that in place. There we go, and I'll center that. Oops, yeah. And I'll just do that. Now I have the same button for each one. So when I go to add image, I'll just select it again. I don't have to upload it every time. And I'll just center it. And I'll do that one last time. Whoops, I don't have to upload. I just said that. All right, there we go. Now the last thing we want to do would be to link this. Now we don't have any other pages to link to at this time, so I'm not going to do that right now. I'll show that in a little bit. But when I click Save, that's a pretty good looking website. Now, I know that I already had the images in place. If you're starting a website from scratch, you're going to have to get those images in place first. So it's not going to be quite that simple. But hopefully you see how simple it is to add that content. And again, this doesn't look bad if I do say so myself. It may not be the best website of all time. If you had a graphic designer, they might be able to make something better than this, but this is definitely a good, solid, clean website. And I would be proud to show this for my church. All right, let's look at some of these other tools. We've got about 15 minutes left, and I know that's not enough time to go into them in great detail, but I want to show a few things. First off, under Pages, we created regular pages, but you have other page options such as feeds. Feeds are a great thing for like announcements. Feeds are like a blog. And if I want to put that here, and I'll click Save Changes, when I go to my feed, which is my announcements blog or feed, I can go and click Edit Page, and it allows me to create a new post. So maybe my new post is about our Bible study coming up. And we'll say God's word is filled with paradoxes, not contradictions, but paradoxes. And we'll put that in here. And let's add, this is some copy explaining it. Let's just add an image. We'll go click Image and Upload. And I'll do Faith That Sees. That's the name of my image. And there we go. So this is a new Bible study that we'll be doing. And we can say sign up today or something like that. Now, I can publish this right now, or I can schedule it. I can say, well, I don't want this to go up quite yet. Schedule it for next Monday. You could put that date in there, date and time, and it'll post it at the appropriate time. But I'm going to go ahead and publish it now so you can see what it looks like. I will hit create, and now that has been published, and I can do a new post. You can actually do as many posts as you want on this feed, and you can have as many feeds as you want. So maybe you have an announcements feed and a pastor sermons feed and a prayer request feed, and they all have different levels of permissions. So if I wanted to, I can go up to Pages and click on Announcements and say this is private. Only people who log in, who are members, can see this. That would be something very appropriate for like prayer requests, where you don't want everybody in their brother to see that, but you do want everybody in the church to see it. So they have to log in to see it, but it's private, it's protected. So there's a few different things that you can do with that. And if you are in the middle of something, you can't really make a feed a draft. Actually, I guess you can, but without posts in there, it doesn't really matter anyways. So here is that. And this right now is my feed page. And if I had another post, it would show up on top of that. But I can also link to any of these individual posts. And I can comment on it, and I can set it so I approve comments. Other people can comment on that too. That's one way of doing it. Now, another way of getting information on your site is through what we call groups. So groups are another type of page. I go and click Add Page, and there's groups, and we can create the page, and maybe we can say Wednesday morning Bible study. Now, this means that I have a group for the people who attend Wednesday morning Bible study. This is not necessarily for everybody in the church. It's for those who attend that Bible study. And if I click on that group and go to it, you'll notice that it looks almost the same as a page, except for this navigation on the right-hand side. We call groups sites within a site. What that allows you to do is have this whole experience for that one group of people, and you can be managed by somebody else besides you as the administrator. So let's take a look through here. You have a home page, you have a discussion board, which allows you to post comments and respond to other people. You have events, which are your calendar view. That's where we're going next. You have members, where you can invite people to join. We don't have any members in our church yet, so I have no one else to invite to join me. But you can have a group of people that are just dedicated to that Bible study. I can go under Edit this group and add a description. I can add additional pages. So maybe I want a downloads page where people can download the latest study guide. And then I can choose what the permissions are for every one of those pages. So maybe the home page is visible to everybody. I want people to know about it. If they're just visiting our site, I want them to know about our Bible studies. But the discussion board should only be for group members. And the events view, the calendar, should be only for people who log in. Maybe you are a member of the church but not a member of the group, but you want to see when they're meeting. And lastly, the members list, maybe I only want group leaders to see who's on the members list. That doesn't need to be a public thing by any means. And it doesn't need to be a group thing where even people who are part of the group can see it. It's just for the leaders to be able to communicate. So I have 4 different permission levels for these 4 different pages. And I can go ahead and update the group. And depending on who I am as I'm logged in, will determine what I see. An administrator can see everything. But a group leader might only see this part of it. They may not see this top bar because they're not an administrator for the site. They're only a leader for the group. And a group member may only see certain pages here. This members page will be excluded because we only had group leaders see that. So the possibilities really are endless for using these different tools. So let's talk about calendars next. Calendars, or events as we call them, calendars are groups of events, can be unique to the group or unique to another calendar. So if I go and say, all right, Wednesday morning Bible study starts tomorrow. Wednesday morning Bible study. And we'll say it's in the fellowship hall. Starts at 9 o'clock a.m., goes till 10. And this event repeats every single week on Wednesday until the end of the year. We'll say till the end of December, right before Christmas. I can invite people to the event, which means they'll receive an email invitation. I can remind people that they are coming 1 day before, 1 week before. You can send that reminder email. I can even do 1 hour before. And then I can create the event. I'm going to take me off the invitation so I don't get all those reminders every single week. And there you go. Now that is on the calendar. Now this is just the group calendar. And if I go back to our master church calendar, it will show up because I'm part of the group. You see, under calendars, that's the group, the only calendar we're showing right now. If I go up to under settings and calendars, I can choose which calendars show. So I might want to show worship. That's a good one for everybody. So show it for everybody, and we'll change it to a red. And then fellowship, which is also a good one to show everybody, we'll put there. And we'll keep that as green. Education, which might only be good for members, we can put as users, and we'll change that to orange. So now when I close out of settings and I go back to calendars, I'll refresh it. Oops. There we go. I'll refresh it. I'll actually hit the refresh button this time. When I look at my available calendars, I now have 4 different types of calendars. Now, I don't have any other events for them right now, but they would show up on here because I can view those. And I can turn, as a user, I can turn any calendar off just to see a certain combination of calendars. So what the viewer sees for calendars will match what you've set up or what they have become involved with. All right, a few other things I want to draw your attention to. First off, the member directory. The member directory is the listing of all of the members that are part of your account, meaning anybody who is using Church360 Unite. And that is going to be based off of your user list up here, up under users. So under users right now, I am the only person there, but I could add another person. And maybe I want to add John Smith. And his email is john.smith@cph.org. I can add him in there. And now he's on the list. If I have a church management software like Church360 members or shepherd staff, those could be brought in to be shown on the site. Now, just because I have added John Smith into this account doesn't mean he can log in yet, but it does mean that he will, we'll make sure that he is listed. There we go. And then when I close out of users and I refresh my members page, he'll show up in my directory. There we go, there's John Smith. Now if I go to users and I click on John's name and I can go down to the bottom and say change role, I can invite him as a user, which means he can log into Unite and see private pages. Or I can invite him as a publisher, which means not only can he log in and view private pages, he can also edit pages. I can add him as a designer, which means he can do all that plus edit the themes. Or I can make him an administrator, which means he can do everything I can do. Now, depending on your plan, you'll have limits on administrators, but you have unlimited number of users in any of those other permission roles. So it's up to you how you want people to use your site. But the more people who know how to edit your site, the more people you trust to edit your site, the better off you'll be in the long run. So you don't have to put everybody as an administrator, but you could put as many people as you want under designers or publishers, and you leave users for those who just need to log in. All right, so we talked about the directory and groups already. The last thing I want to show you today is the mailing lists. So we're here under users. If you go under mailing lists, you get one right now. A mailing list is a list of people that you can send emails to. So I can create a new one and call this maybe volunteers, create mailing lists, and then within the volunteers mailing list, I can select who it goes to. So I can say, well, yeah, I want it to go to Peter Frank, and here's a group of people, the Wednesday morning Bible class, I can add them to it. And all of a sudden I have a mailing list, so I'll click save. And if I want to email them, I just click the checkbox next to volunteers and click this email button below. And what this will do is it'll open up my default email client. And it'll give me this kind of weird email address, which will send things to the Unite servers and relay that to our recipients. We call this the email relay function. So it's a pretty creative way of sending out bulk emails without putting the email address for everybody to see or putting it in one at a time. It makes it very quick. Now, this is how most mass emailing programs work. It's not blocked by spam filters or anything like that. So that is our email and our mailing lists. Click no there. One thing I do want to draw your attention to is this activity view. This allows you to see what activities are happening on your site. So if people are commenting on a blog or a feed, you can see that there and even set it to approve those. If you go to event log, you can see who has been added, anything related to members. So if John Smith changed his phone number, you would see that on there. And then you can see the email log, which right now we don't have anything in there. But if you sent an email, it would show you how many people got it, how many people blocked it, those kind of things. So it's a pretty powerful tool there as well. I haven't shown you posts here, but posts are related to feeds. And if you want a listing of all your available posts, you can go here and see that. You can also change feeds around, delete the posts from here, move them to a different feed. All of your post management is in that one view. All right, so I know I covered a lot. I went through it very quickly. I would love to hear your questions. We're right at 50 minutes, and I can always go into more detail on some of these other things, but I'd love to hear what questions you have today. So in the meantime, while you're thinking of questions, you can you can go and start your free 30-day trial at 360unite.com. This gives you access to pretty much everything, but it limits you to one administrator and 500 megabytes of storage. If you are interested in going beyond the free trial, let me go back to our website. You can go to the pricing page and see your different options. So we have our free trial, which is listed there. We have our standard edition, which is $30 a month or annually $350. Our advanced edition goes up to $55. And the difference between those two plans is that under advanced, you get a custom domain like www.mychurch.org. You can have 6 administrators rather than the 2 of the standard plan. You can have 10 gigabytes of storage rather than the 2 gigabytes. And so it gives you a better, more comprehensive website experience. All the tools are still there, but you can use them to a greater extent. Now, maybe you put a lot of media on your site, large videos, large audio files. You could go to the premium edition, which has an unlimited amount of storage, unlimited number of administrators, and it also includes 10 email addresses plus that custom domain. So instead of just having, Pastor Kent at gmail.com, you could have Pastor Kent at hopelutheranbakersville.com, something like that. So those are the pricing, and from here you can click the schedule call and set up a time to speak with one of our software consultants who can personalize a demo like this for you. Now, I do want to draw your attention. If you are using Church360 members or Shepherd staff, there is a discount available, and that can be applied when you go onto our website and click Show Discount. So that takes it down to $20 a month for standard, $45 for annual, and $95 for that premium plan. All right, I am not seeing any questions in the queue, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at my contact information on the screen, or feel free to talk with a software consultant who can help you decide if Church360 Unite is right for your church. So the emails are the best way to reach us, but also our phone numbers are listed there. That 800 number for the software consultants is a great way to kind of find out if Unite is good for you. They can ask you some more specific questions about your church and give you more details. All right. Mary Beth is asking the question, or maybe making a statement. Either way, it's good. Let me go back to our plans. Mary Beth is saying, if you start with the standard plan but need more storage, can you upgrade later? Yes, you can. I read that at first as a statement, but it is a question. Can you upgrade later? Absolutely. You can upgrade at any time and get to your full or your improved storage space. So that's usually what we recommend. If you already have a custom domain and you want to manage that, you can do that real easily. Utilize the standard edition. Gets you the 2 administrators, the 2 gigs of storage space, which is more than enough to get started, and get your website up and running. And as your website grows, as your church grows, you can always go to the advanced or even the premium edition. But standard edition is a great way to go. And again, if you are already a Shepherd staff customer or Church360 members customer, it's only $20 a month or $225 a year, even cheaper than $20 a month. Now, the other thing that goes along with that is I'm going to go over to themes. It goes along with your point. If you want to start with something, you can always grow to a better theme or a different theme. I shouldn't say better because they're all really good. But if you start with one thing, whether it's a plan or a theme, you can always move to a different plan at any time or a different theme. And the themes do not cost anything extra. So if you take a look there, you can see all of our different theme options with some example sites. You can go and click on any one of them. So like this material theme is what we used. You can go and click on it. And this is what we showed before, this setup with these images and the links and all of that. So you can see what it looks like. But we have plenty others as well, including this cross theme. It's another really good one. All right, so I think that's all the questions we have. Mary Beth, thank you for that question. If you have any others, feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, thank you very much for attending today, and thank you for watching if you're watching the recording. I hope you learned a lot. If you have questions, feel free to reach out at any time. Thanks so much. Have a great day.